What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombies. So yes, it is Monday, back on the grind, and I know if you woke up this morning and you looked at the charts, what a way to start the week off, right, guys? So actually, before we get into it, I do have another shirt, believe it or not. These guys send me stuff all the time. This is a size medium. It's a Bridge Protocol, and it has the ID on it. So if you guys want, you can't scan it, by the way, I tried. But if you guys want, it's a size medium. So if you want, just drop a comment below. In the comment, say something about the shirt, and I'll do a raffle tomorrow and we'll pick a winner. So that's like the best I could do, guys, on a day like today, because I really do feel bad about what's been going on. I mean, it's an absolute bloodbath yet again in the markets. This is absolutely crazy what's been going on lately. There's so much stuff I want to dive into today. Obviously, if we have a look at what's going on, everything is red. I mean, we are just taking a bigger hit every single day. Bitcoin dominance actually has been slipping, which is interesting because it's like, where is the money going then if the dominance is pulling back? So one thing that you can do is you can actually switch this to Bitcoin comparative instead of doing the dollar comparative, because if Bitcoin falls, everything falls at the same percent if it doesn't move upwards. So if we go to the Bitcoin comparative, you can actually see that XRP, even though it's down, it's actually up 3.5% compared to Bitcoin, whereas a lot of these other guys are getting slaughtered. Obviously, this is Tether. You don't count Tether. If you come down here, you can see Bitcoin Gold is up, Dogecoin is up, Bytecoin is up. You also obviously have the stable coins. You have Aurora, Waves, a few others as well. Cash is up. So you can kind of see that some of them are doing okay. If you have the, look at the biggest gainers of the day, obviously you're seeing Odom up 24%, Factom 20%. Now keep in mind, this is compared to Bitcoin, obviously a lot lower gains if we switch it back to the dollar amount. So having a look at what happened, I'm zoomed out way on this. We're not going to do any technical analysis. I just want to show you guys where we're at. So we had this line right here. This was sort of our, bullish line that sort of started right around here as we hit that crossover point, which, I was sort of predicting around the 12th. Looks like it happened a little bit earlier. We fell down into this purple line, which we were following based on this earlier trend. So unfortunately, if we look at this line, it does look like we could fall down to a potential $4,000 Bitcoin, but I mean, that's just following the line, guys. Obviously, in crypto, nothing has really ever been able to repeat itself exactly 100%. You got some people saying, oh, the 2018 chart is looking very similar to the 2014 chart. And while I do see the similarities, I think that we need to take everything with a grain of salt. I think we are dealing with a completely different animal this year. You have so many different tokens, so many different forks. The regulators are coming in. It's not the same ball game that we've been playing the years before. So, you can look at this Wall Street psychology chart. I see a lot of people throwing this chart around everywhere. Where are we? Are we still in the capitulation phase? Are we in the anger phase? Have we entered the depression phase? The truth is no one really knows, and you really won't ever know until it's done and over with. So anybody that's absolutely predicting the bottom, they don't know. I mean, I'm saying possibly 4,000, but that's just based on what I could see with my eyes. You can have a black swan event, or we can have a catalyst. I mean, last year we literally went from 6,500 to almost 20K in a month, with the majority of it being in a 3-week time period. So there's no guarantee about what's going to happen. There's a lot of things moving forward. Obviously, if you look at this, some people like to look at the halvenings that have happened, the difference in the prices. So if you could see right here, I mean, obviously this is a a logarithmic chart, which is a little bit different. But essentially, if you look at it right here, they talk about the first halvening, the second halvening, and the third halvening eventually. If you don't know what that is, there's plenty of videos about that. So they talk about from first to second, you have a 200% per year or a 3x increase per year. So, the thing that we were talking about is, even though Bitcoin has fallen from almost 20K to currently, where are we at right now? 5,100, it looks like. 5,100, 5,000, yeah. So, I mean, it's still up because in the beginning of January of last year, don't forget, Bitcoin was hovering around $1,000. So it's still kind of up, but it just really sucks to be in the midst of this while everything is happening the way that it actually has been happening, guys. So, looking back at this, we can't really go off these charts because past performance doesn't necessarily indicate future performance because the whole situation is different. Now, you have a lot of different guys coming out. They have their own opinions on what's going on right now. For example, you have Reddit's co-founder Alexis Ohanian. He believes that the price is actually good for the crypto industry. We've heard a lot of different people saying this. He says that it helps people to start focusing more on the software that's being built rather than the money, which it's hard not to when you've gotten in and lost so much. But he also says that the drop is going to remove a lot of the charlatans of the Bitcoin and blockchain industries. This will lead to companies and people being more serious compared to last year and work on improving software and technology that's built on blockchain and crypto. In fact, he was on CNBC, and he was saying that even the companies that have been coming to him lately are a lot more legit, a lot more serious, and it's almost like a much more pleasurable experience for him dealing with these guys working on these different startups and projects as well. I mean, you've even seen Sasha Ivanov. He's the founder and CEO of Waves, which I think is doing quite well today. Actually, I think they're up. He says people are moaning about the bear market in crypto, forgetting that you need some fundamentals for the bull market after all. It won't happen unless we come up with more applications for blockchain tech in real world. It's time to enforce mass adoption rather than wait for it. And that's what a lot of these guys are really focusing on. But throwing an old wrench in the gears, right? We got these guys over here with this Bitcoin Cash debacle, which has just been, in my opinion, one of the worst things that's happened. It's just an absolute joke to me. I hope everyone just sells their Bitcoin Cash or whatever and just buys back into Bitcoin. Not financial advice. I don't know who I'm offending by saying that, but how can you support this madness? I mean, originally the Bitcoin Cash camp separated themselves because they had their own ideals. It wasn't Satoshi's vision. They didn't agree with the SegWit upgrade, and now they've split again. Who's to say that they're not going to keep splitting? Right? If we come down here, we can actually see that the hash rate wars have been going back and forth. This morning, SV was winning. Then, ABC was winning as well. So then you have Jihan Wu over on Twitter basically saying, when am I going to be able to sell my BSV? I can't wait to sell it. And then he goes and says, don't play hatred, don't wish competing coins ill, just try to make Bitcoin Cash better. Now, I don't have an issue personally with this coin versus that coin, Dogecoin versus Digibyte versus Bitcoin Cash versus Litecoin. It doesn't matter to me. If you have a coin that you like, fine. Not a problem. But when these guys are mining at a loss and doing these ridiculously egotistical things that are hurting everybody just to prove a point, that's when I have a problem with it. That's when I'm offended, and literally everyone in crypto is hurting right now. What do they think they're gaining from this, right? How many people are losing money? You think I like reporting this stuff every day? No, I don't. And then you come down here and he goes on to say Bitcoin Cash was always voluntary, whereas BSV is forcing people onto their chain by threatening a reorg and steal people's money if they continue on the voluntary chain. He also finally says, there are super crucial sensitive economic activities that are happening on the blockchain around the fork. Keeping an exposure to a 51% attack risks a lot for this. So then people are saying, well, is it centralized? And honestly, I think this is why a lot of people, as you can see, are selling out of their Bitcoin positions. And if we switch to Bitcoin comparison, buying XRP. Guys, it's happening. A lot of people were really hating on XRP, but look at what's happening with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin camp. I mean, these guys are moving their hash rates. They're the Bitcoin.com pool. They're stopped mining Bitcoin. Even if you're a paying customer for this hash rate, they're taking it away. They're mining Bitcoin Cash. I mean, they shouldn't be allowed to do that, right? But they are. They are doing it, guys. You can see right here, we can confirm for today, at least all the hash associated with Bitcoin.com will be mining Bitcoin Cash ABC. According to CoinDance, which we just looked at, regularly Bitcoin usually mines more than 5% of the blocks in Bitcoin Cash. But obviously today, we are mining everything. So obviously, a lot of people are pointing at this fork, pointing at this just fighting going on in the space and saying that this is the cause. I don't know 100% if this is the cause. I honestly think there's something bigger, guys. I really do. Something a lot deeper, something a lot more maniacal, a lot more manipulative that we're not seeing. I don't exactly know what it is yet. I mean, we've seen people purchasing these over-the-counter, purchases, right? Accumulating in the background. What's all this stuff about? So you're seeing the hash rate continuing. But the funny thing is that these guys are so busy trying to prove their point that they don't realize that now Bitcoin is now 120% more profitable to mine than what they're doing right now. But obviously, it's more important for your ego, right? So the other thing I wanted to talk about is there have been a lot of updates. You have seen Lightning Network surpass $1.8 million on 4,000 payment channels, and we do have Backed coming in on the 12th with hopes of a potential ETF being approved, right? Now, I want to go back a little bit because we've been very focused on this Bitcoin Cash debacle, but that's not where this all started. That's not where this crazy bull run that we had all the way up here, that's not where it started, okay? So we need to go back just a little bit. I lost my spot. Here we go. So I want to start with the ICO craze. Now, this is where it really, really started, guys. Everyone was getting so excited. It didn't matter what coin you had. You could flip it. You could make money off of it, right? And, it really didn't matter. So you would just invest in something and you would make money. People were freaking out. And then what were they doing? Well, after they were having these massive gains, they were selling. And then they were buying into Bitcoin, right? Ethereum's price was going up because everyone was buying into the ICOs. People didn't care. They were buying at whatever the price was. So what's the easiest thing to do? Well, just buy the next sell order, right? Buy the book right up because I need some Ether so I can buy an ICO so I can make money so then I can take that and put it into Ether and put it into Bitcoin. And it was just this cycle that was going and going and going and going. And then what happened was eventually it stopped working. And all these companies that had all this Ethereum, price started going down, well, they start liquidating. So Ethereum starts taking a massive hit, right? As the price starts to go down, it's a trickle down effect. It's an avalanche is essentially what was happening. So obviously, even though Bitcoin is more than double what it was before these ICOs, a lot of people are too short-sighted to see that, and we're ignoring the fact that this crazy printing of money, promising of things that didn't actually have anything. I mean, they were essentially white paper dreams. People lost money. There was greed. There was scams. Crypto ads were being revoked. It's been a crazy year, guys. So it's not insane to see that this is where we are. So talking about ICO used to be a great word. When you said ICO, everyone went, yeah, ICO. Now you say ICO and people are just like, oh, I'm not touching that, right? So as you can see, it says flippers had bought in expecting to cash out at profit quickly. But when that didn't happen, many likely panicked and sold at whatever price the market would accept, which is what we saw with a lot of the newer ICOs. ICOs used to come out and they go like this. Now ICOs come out and they go like this. You could pretty much look at all the recent ICOs that have come out on market, which is why I definitely say, guys, if you're going to buy a coin, wait until it dumps. Don't be like the first guy standing online to get the coin. So it says the ICO craze and its effects will be in many ways kind of similar to Mt. Gox. I mean, look what happened to Mt. Gox when all those Bitcoin got stolen. How long did we go before we actually were able to correct? I mean, we were in a bear market for multiple years, guys, until there was anything. So I kind of consider this ICO craze and all this madness and the retail investors going all the way up to 20K and down, it's almost just something to note in the books, So they kind of go in to say, with the flippers gone and the insatiable greed put on ice, the community has nowhere to go but up from here. So the other question, we talked yesterday about the ETP. I know I said ETF. Some people said ETP. Well, just to highlight over here, guys, ETPs include ETFs. I just thought it was an easier thing. Most people are familiar with ETFs, but that's not really the point of today's video. The point is, will we get the ETF in the US? Because that's the one that everyone's concerned about. The Switzerland one was great, right? But the one that everyone's really looking at is the one in the US. So how will we actually get this? Well, to increase the probability of a Bitcoin ETF approval, companies that apply with the SEC must offer a compelling solution to the SEC's issue that the cryptocurrency exchange market and the futures market are not sufficient to determine the real price of Bitcoin. So some speculate that the launch of Back's futures markets could persuade the SEC to enable a futures market-based ETF, but the potential impact of Backed on the crypto sector still remains unknown. And the more we keep having this news coming out with these guys fighting, these billionaires forking coins, It's just not a good look for everything, guys. It is not a good look. But the interesting thing is when you look at the sector in a whole, you're still seeing guys like Tencent Holdings Limited, their third quarter reports are in, and their earnings beat the expectations of most publicized predictions. So it says that Tencent Holding Limited holds more than 20 patents utilizing blockchain technology, an amount equal to the blockchain patents held by Accenture, Bitmain, China's State Grid Corporation, Google, Intel, Ping, and insurance, Sony, and Visa as well. But then again, guys, on the flip side, let's not also ignore the fact that the US stock market has been struggling as well. Stocks are not doing well either. So finances and the whole sector, not the sector, but just all this stuff in general, it's not really doing that well. Major technology stocks like Nvidia, which we talked about the other day, they saw a drop from 10 to 30%. Some people were speculating that that had to do with mining. I've heard other arguments for that as well. CNBC reported that 25% of wealthy investors in the stock market believe that the US market will see an end to its bull market run. There are more experienced investors sitting tight and staying the course. Any near-term noise is never a good idea to make wholesale changes. Now, this is coming from Mike Lauengart, Chief Investment Officer at E-Trade Capital Management. He says over longer periods of time, these events are less meaningful. So the drop in the value of equities, stocks, and other traditional investment vehicles have fueled the drop of cryptocurrencies, which to the eyes of investors in the finance sector remain as high risk, high return trades. So the fact that, you have these guys that are losing so much in the traditional stock right now, going into something in crypto is even more risky. So if they've already lost, a lot of them could potentially just be sitting tight. But then again, this is all speculative. We don't know. But here's an interesting thing. You're seeing so many different people leaving these traditional FAANG companies, right? And moving over to blockchain companies. I mean, here's a report that just came out highlighting a few different people. So, you have Kahina Van Dyke is Ripple's Senior Vice President for Business and corporate development. She left Facebook. She also had worked at MasterCard and Citibank. You also have Venji, probably can't say this guy's name, but of Near Protocol, he left Facebook and he worked at Google for a little bit. You also have Leo Chen, who left Amazon Web Services to go work for Harmony. You also have another person, Alok Kathari, that was working at Harmony, that left. He was working at Apple for, working on Siri. You also have Ryan Lechner from Consensus Labs, managing over 50 investments in Brooklyn-based Ethereum shop. He left from Netflix. And you also have Alex Feinberg at OKCoin, used to serve as Director of Business Development. No, he does serve as Director of Business Development, used to work at Google. So yeah, and one more person too. Chandon Ladna used to work at Google. Alphabet division has moved over to CoinTracker. So obviously a lot of these people are seeing the potential in blockchain, but yet the price and crypto itself is not quite reflecting the grand vision. Now, if you want to talk realistically about problems though, like actual problems that we have, this came out a little bit ago, so this is not a 100% up-to-date article. This is from Invest in Blockchain. This came out August 14th of this year. So some of this might be a little bit different, so just take this with a grain of salt. But, they point out that if you look at the top 100 cryptos that are actually in the top 100, at the time of writing this, only 36 out of the top 100 cryptos have a working product that you can actually use, and most of the working products really are to be desired of, okay? They're not exactly the greatest. You can come down here, you can see obviously Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, Stellar, okay? And as we go down the list, you start to see, Neo, 0x, BitShares. There's a few more, Basic Attention, Waves, Komodo, Zencash, Pivx. You guys can come here and look at this list if you want. But as you can see, a lot of them did not actually have working products back in August. Now some have, but some don't. So the question is, why do we have so many cryptos that don't actually have products? People say we need to go out, we need to build that next killer DApp, right? I agree. Now let's talk about another issue that a lot of people are talking about, and that's XRP could potentially become number one. It could. You guys know on my channel, I've never really been a particular fan of XRP, even though they say they're decentralized. I've always felt there was a layer of centralization to it. However, I gotta be honest with you, with what's been happening lately with all this Bitcoin Cash crap, what does that say for centralization? Honestly. Look at what these guys are doing. Look at the aggressiveness, right? I just wanted to point that out. Scrolling down here, you can read this article. We've gone over a lot of this. You can see that the XRP price is a very it's very good in comparison to the 17th of November of last year. So it's actually up by 113%. Whereas if you look at Bitcoin, it's actually down 29%, Ethereum down 46%, and Bitcoin Cash down 64%. So these are just statistics that you have to pay attention to. I mean, even Bitlord, he's been around for a long time. He was actually on the panel with me over at World CryptoCon. And this guy, he's seen it all. And he even says the higher XRP climbs, the more I am certain it will flip Bitcoin in 2019. Very obvious this will be our new crypto standard. Hard to accept for many, but so was Bitcoin back in 2010. Now, some people thought he was being sarcastic. I don't know. Maybe he is being sarcastic, but he's been sticking to this pretty much, on a daily. And he says down here, Ripple actually combines the best and worst of both worlds. Decentralization plus crypto and banking equals unstoppable. So the other thing too that a lot of people point out is, how fast XRP transactions are. They're very fast. I mean, I think on average, it's like a 3-second or 6-second transaction, something along that lines. So talking to what CZ from Binance was saying, he was saying our XRP base shill is strong. Let's get it out of your system and put all your shills under this one tweet and let's see how much we get. So after taking over Ethereum as the world's second largest cryptocurrency, XRP investors say Binance should pair all of their cryptocurrencies with XRP. Now here's an interesting thing. If the leading exchanges actually did start pairing all of their tradable cryptos with XRP, that would actually give them, in a sense, I would say, I don't know if it would be more liquidity, but it would be easier to move them around. Like if you want to do arbitrage, right? If everything had an XRP pair, you would send it, you do your trade to XRP, send XRP to the other exchange, and then trade it for a different crypto. Whereas now, you send Bitcoin, you're waiting an hour. Literally, sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, right? Even if you use Ethereum, you still have to go through 30 confirmations, which, I mean, roughly for me, I find it's anywhere between like 7 and 15 minutes, depending on the network. But it's still a really long time for people that are trying to get things done, especially in a day and age when we're just so used to everything being so instant gratification and so fast. So I definitely wanted to point that out as well. You guys can come down here, read a little bit more of this article. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are turning to XRP, and it's unfortunate because of what's been happening. So the other question is, what's going to happen to Ethereum? Is Ethereum even going to be able to maintain its spot? Are people going to lose faith in Ethereum now that we're not really using it for these ICOs and stuff like that? So, another question too is a lot of these ICOs that aren't really happening, they aren't really raising funds, and the ones that are moving off of the Ethereum mainnet. They're moving on to their own mainnets. They're having their own data silos essentially, which isn't really good for interoperability. But what does that mean for the Ethereum network? Has the Ethereum network just simply become a glorified ICO raising mechanism? Okay, so if you come down here, you can kind of have a look at what's been going on. Not going to go into too much detail about this, but you even see things like since the launch of EOS mainnet, you've seen EOS Bet, Metapedia, Tixio, Billionaire Token, Insights Network, Wax, Sentinel Protocol, and then you've even seen Justin Sun from Tron saying that, we're going to basically take all the users and all the dApps and everything like that. So that's something to also keep in mind, guys. Talking about some crypto news real quick, just to kind of talk about it, we did have Bancor on, Bloomberg TV, so that was pretty cool. Those guys are really pushing the forefront of trying to get DEXs out there. Now they are somewhat centralized, so they are working with, regulation, but it's nice to see them on television as well, guys. Also, I wanted to talk about this interesting thing. I know there's so much we could talk about, guys, but I mean, we could literally have an hour-long video just talking about this stuff. But the one thing I did want to point out was it was really interesting because for the first time ever, American teenagers polled that they actually prefer cryptocurrency and V-Bucks, which is the virtual currency used in Fortnite, over cash, gift cards, and gas money. So this is interesting. So if teenagers now prefer to use cryptocurrencies and other digital assets in lieu of cash and gift cards, that means that the value of crypto assets in everyday circulation could potentially grow if this is what the newer generations are really seeing as valuable. So, currently the fiat to V-Bucks exchange rate is $9.99 for 1,000 V-Bucks, and users can use it. You can use it for in-game stuff. But the interesting thing is that all refunds are actually made in V-Bucks instead of fiat. So you kind of have to keep the money in the system. That's pretty clever. But the thing is American teenagers may be big fans of crypto, but unfortunately, the generation of Americans pretty much before 1964, known as the baby boomers, are pretty much not fans of crypto. And, you know, if I take a look at my statistics right now, I could tell you that after a certain age, I don't have any viewers on this channel. Like, they just do not watch this stuff. They don't care about this stuff. They don't understand it. So kind of an interesting thing, but at the same time, if the newer generations are pretty cool with it, then I guess that's good moving forward. So kind of keeping on the same topic of Fortnite, you guys know I'm huge into blockchain games. I think they're going to be huge, guys. So let's have a look. I wanted to talk about the fact that recently we've seen Call of Duty and Battlefield also release their own battle royale modes, which some people are saying has somewhat taken away from the Fortnite, you know, not the craze, but some of the players are now migrating to these other more familiar games as well. So the thing is that players are now selling their Fortnite accounts and switching to new games. However, selling your Fortnite account is technically a violation of Fortnite's end user license agreement. Interesting. Well, why? Well, because they're not making money off of it, of course, guys. So obviously you have Tfue is one of the top Fortnite players whose account has actually been banned for violating the EULA. His attempt was to sell his account, which he does not own. So you could see a lot of people do not like this. People are pissed off. A lot of developers would develop more items if they knew these items would be used in more games. A lot of people would purchase more items with their actual cash or their V-Bucks if they had the ability to transfer these items. People do not like the fact that they don't own their items. If anything happens to their account, if anything happens to the game, those items are gone. So you're seeing that there was a study done by Wax on 1,000 gamers and 500 developers that discovered that 62% of gamers feel having the flexibility to transfer virtual items from game to game would make spending money on those items more worth it. It continues, in fact, close to 3/4 of gamers said they would purchase virtual items if they could use them in multiple games. And that is why you are seeing a lot of non-fungibles being built on blockchain. So there is still that use case. Collectibles are there and they will have value. In fact, there is a game coming out from Arcade Distillery's newest game, which is called Plague Hunters. Now, apparently this is a sequel to Plague Road, but the thing is that it's an RPG game that comes with some PvP elements. So the free-to-play game comes with a P2P transaction marketplace that has already been passed by Sony review process. It successfully passed all the terms and conditions for PlayStation. So Plague Hunter's in-game assets like weapons and units can be pegged to non-fungible tokens available on the Ethereum blockchain. The game could be available as soon as Q1 next year. Also, guys, don't forget, Mythical Games is coming out of the shadows to leverage blockchain as well. They've raised over $16 million in Series A funding. Instead of using Ethereum, though, they're going to be using EOS. So you're going to still be seeing this stuff get developed in the background, regardless of what's going on with the price, regardless of what's going on with trades and the Bitcoin Cash debacle and the SEC and the ETFs. You're still seeing this going forward. You're still seeing blockchain being used for voting and polls. You're still seeing it being used for supply chain logistics. I just did an interview with Origin Trail. They have a massive, massive list of partnerships and they're using it. So guys, it's happening. It's out there. It's just the markets right now are not really taking it quite well. I mean, even if you want to look at some other positive stuff, you have Samurai Wallet recently announced that you can send Bitcoin without even having to be connected to the internet using Textena, and they also use the global mesh from these GoTenas as well. So they were able to send it over a distance of 19.2 kilometers, apparently. They had one of them, they tried to do it with 5 of them at a time, and I guess the last one didn't work, but they still got 4 out of 5, so that was pretty cool news moving forward. Also, there's an article on why India is having difficulty banning cryptocurrency. As you guys can see, you know, you can ban an exchange, but people will just use a VPN. They'll just go to a different platform. So I'm not going to go into this, but obviously it's going to be really difficult for these governments to truly be able to clamp down on crypto moving forward. And finally, guys, I wanted to end on one more good note. So we have a Ebsworth collection sale at the famous Christie's auction that was in New York, raised a total of $317 million, and it was all processed on the Ethereum blockchain, guys. And before we go, I wanted to leave you with this one video. Now, this is why the whole banking system is a scam. This is Godfrey Bloom, and it's about a 3-minute video, and you absolutely need to watch this, guys. It is just he just breaks it down. He talks about what is wrong with the banking system, what is wrong with fractional reserve banking, how the banks are actually the biggest scams of all, and how the situation is not sustainable. It's a model that literally, yeah. So guys, I'm gonna leave you with that before we go. Definitely, if you only do one thing today, please watch this clip. I will draw. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll put it at the end credits of the video. Like when the things come up, it'll be right there. You guys just wait till the end of the video. Just tap on it. Okay. Definitely check this video out before we go, guys. And yeah, that being said, guys, I want to just say once again, thank you so much for everyone that's been liking, subscribing, commenting. You guys are awesome. I know this was a super long video today. It's just so much going on. It's difficult to cram this all into these short, videos, trying to keep them. But, that being said, guys, I want to say thank you so much. I know it was a long video, but hopefully you guys got some kind of value out of it. Please drop some comments below. Let me know. What do you think about this whole situation? How do you feel about crypto? I mean, are we too focused on price? Should we be more focused on fundamentals? Is it all going to zero, or is this just being manipulated? Do you think there's a bigger mafia cartel behind this that's manipulating the whole thing? I mean, we can all put on our tinfoil hats, but I don't know. It's tough, guys. It's tough. But you know what? All negativity aside, the positive thing is I am more than thrilled to be here with you again on this beautiful day, guys. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Everyone that's been liking, subscribing, commenting, you guys are really awesome. I promise tomorrow's video I will not make it this long. I'll cut at least 10 minutes off the end. So sorry it was so long, guys. But that being said, really appreciate you coming back. My name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.